Two souls spoke each night, yet never knew they were separated by only a few streets, until one rainy day, fate unveiled its hidden design. The Meeting in the Rain. Written by Second Hogo. There are destinies woven not by the hand of Providence alone, but by the invisible threads of longing that tremble between two solitary souls. Love, that ancient architect of both ruin and redemption, had chosen its stage in the modern world of glowing screens and silent nights, where words crossed oceans at the speed of light, yet hearts waited with the patience of centuries. Arman had long believed himself forgotten by life. He was a poet by instinct, though his verses never left the notebooks that filled his small apartment. He was a man who lived more with shadows than with people, who found more honesty in the silence of a rainy evening than in the chatter of crowded streets. He scrolled through the endless emptiness of the digital world each night, expecting nothing but distraction. And yet, one evening, beneath the indifferent light of his phone, a message appeared. Small, almost invisible among the noise of 1,000 others. It was from Elina. It was nothing but a single word, a greeting as simple as the rustle of leaves. But from that moment, his nights ceased to be mere darkness. Her voice, first letters, then sentences, then hours of conversation, poured into his solitude like dawn breaking into a cavern. Elina was different. In the eyes of the world, she was vibrant, full of light, always surrounded by friends and laughter. Yet beneath the mask of her joy lived a sorrow too deep for most to notice. She had suffered betrayals, disappointments, and wounds that silence had hidden. But with Arman, she did not need to hide. He listened. He understood. He answered with words not of comfort alone, but of recognition, as though he too carried the same invisible scars. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The geography that separated them, miles of road, endless hours of distance, was bridged by the fragile thread of their conversations. The nights stretched into dawn, when both would fall asleep not with loneliness, but with the echo of each other's last words in their ears. At last, the idea, no, the necessity, was born. "We should meet," Elina whispered one night. The silence that followed was not hesitation, but awe. Meeting in reality was no longer a dream. It was the only truth that mattered. The day was chosen. A café in the heart of a city neither fully his nor hers, but belonging to both. A place of rain-polished windows and quiet corners. Arman arrived first. His hands trembled not with fear, but with the unbearable weight of anticipation. He had seen her face 1,000 times upon a screen, traced her features with his imagination, heard the music of her laughter through speakers too small to contain its warmth. But to see her in the flesh, that was a miracle beyond poetry. Outside, the rain fell, unrelenting, as if the heavens themselves could not contain their emotion. Then the door opened. Elina stepped inside, her hair damp with the storm, her eyes searching, uncertain, until they found his. For an instant, the world was a void, empty of every other presence. There was no clatter of cups, no whisper of other conversations, no rain against the glass. There was only recognition. They stood frozen, two statues carved by destiny, until at last Elina smiled. That smile, half trembling, half radiant, was enough to undo every sorrow Arman had ever carried. He rose, and they walked toward each other, each step a century, each heartbeat an ocean. When at last their hands met, the universe seemed to exhale. They sat together, and hours vanished. They spoke not as strangers meeting for the first time, but as souls who had always known each other, separated only by the illusion of distance. Every word was both new and remembered, every silence full of meaning. And then the truth revealed itself, almost by accident. As they spoke of streets, of familiar places, of the paths of their daily lives, they realized that for months, perhaps years, they had lived in the same city. The miles they believed lay between them were nothing but shadows of assumption. They had been neighbors in spirit and geography, divided not by space, but by fate's cruel trick. The revelation was almost unbearable in its irony. How many times had they walked the same avenues, never noticing one another? How many times had destiny brushed them together only to let them pass? But now there was no more passing. Arman reached across the table and took her hand. "No more distance," he whispered, though his voice shook with the immensity of the moment. Elina's eyes glistened with tears, but they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of a heart that had found its echo. "No more," she answered. When they left the café, the rain had not ceased. It poured in torrents, soaking their clothes, clinging to their hair, chilling their skin. But they did not care. For every draught was a baptism, a consecration of a new life that began not with promises, but with presence. Hand in hand, they walked into the storm. Behind them, the café's light glowed faintly through the wet glass, a lantern fading into memory. Ahead of them stretched streets shining with water and promise. And thus their story began, not with tragedy, not with farewell, but with the simplest and rarest of victories. Two solitary hearts, having searched the world, discovered that they had been waiting for each other all along. For what is love, if not the closing of distance? And what is destiny, if not the patience of two souls until they finally meet?
We don't have any boundaries, but there's something